I'm Morgan Young, and this is Long Story Shorts, where we are digging into all of the headlines that are taking over your social media feeds. Now, I know a lot happened over the weekend, but I also know a lot of you are looking ahead to Easter weekend. So here is senior meteorologist Jesse Hawila with a look at your weather.
Let's start with the not complicated part of the forecast. That's the warmth. It's in the 80s all week. We will end March as the warmest March on record and with the most 80-plus degree days on record. Now to the slightly more complicated part of the forecast, and that's the chances for rain. Wednesday night into Thursday will be our first chance for showers and thunderstorms. That could linger into Thursday morning. Then most of Thursday actually looks dry. Same thing with Friday. Most of Friday looks dry, but some isolated thunderstorms would be possible, especially late in the day, and that could give way to maybe more widespread rain late Friday into Saturday. If I had to guess right now, Saturday will be the best chance for showers and thunderstorms. So if you have Saturday plans, keep checking back. Of course, it's still pretty early here and things could change, but that's the expectation, is the most widespread chance for rain right now looks to be either late Friday night and overnight and then into early Saturday. Good news, still thinking the cold front will push things out of here in time for Easter. So if you have outdoor Easter plans on Sunday, right now it looks good. Have a great week.
The father of a missing American Airlines flight attendant tells WFAA the body found in Colombia on Friday was indeed his son. Eric Fernando Gutierrez Molina was based at DFW Airport. He disappeared during a layover in Medellin, Colombia last weekend. Loved ones believe Molina and a friend may have been drugged.
If he was drugged, it wasn't like he was looking for that.
Exactly.
The drug that I guess is popular down there can also be blown into your face, or they put into your cocktails, or they put it into the door handles of taxis.
The American Airlines flight attendant union called Gutierrez a ball of sunshine and said he will be remembered as a charismatic man who always provided a helping hand.
Garland police say a murder suspect turned himself in this weekend after allegedly stabbing a man to death inside a grocery store. Now, the stabbing happened just after 8 o'clock Friday night at the Fiesta Mart in the 2900 block of South 1st Street. Police say the victim was 39 years old. They say his name was Frankie Barrios. In the hours after the shooting, police put out this image of a man they believe to be the suspect. This is from surveillance video. Police started asking for help from the public because they knew there were several people inside the store and the parking lot when the stabbing happened. Well, Saturday afternoon, we got an update from Garland police saying the man in the image turned himself in. He's 32 years old. His name is Juan Pedro Reyes, and he is a Garland resident. He's now charged with murder. Police say they are still investigating the circumstances surrounding the stabbing.
All right, there is a piece of unincorporated Kaufman County that is getting all kinds of news. It started when a Dubai-based developer wanted to bring what's called a sustainable city to the area. We're talking an AI-driven, all-in-one mixed development on 2,300 acres in Kaufman County. First time we heard about that development publicly was in February. Well, ever since then, it has become a lightning rod issue. It starts with Attorney General Ken Paxton, who vowed an investigation into what he dubbed the Sharia city, not the sustainable city. And then finally, this week, weeks after first hearing about this project, we're hearing from the Attorney General Ken Paxton that the deal is off. Paxton, who is in a tightly contested Senate race, is taking some credit because of that investigation. And then you have a U.S. congressman. His name is Lance Gooden. He says it's because of the conversations he had with the developer. Now, sources tell us It's not because of the backlash. It's not because of the investigations. It's because Kaufman County was not the right fit. All right, we also got a statement from the Sustainable City. They tell us that they're looking for other locations across the U.S. and recent characterizations of their project are incorrect.
Remember that huge fire at First Baptist Church in downtown Dallas back in 2024? Their historic sanctuary, more than 130 years old, went up in flames that summer. Well, on Palm Sunday, the church announced when it will break ground to build a replacement for that historic building. This notice is now on the First Baptist website. It says groundbreaking is scheduled for June 7th. That old sanctuary had been the site of worship for generations of local families. It was not where they were still having their regular services. The church had opened a huge new facility a few years ago. But that old sanctuary was absolutely beloved because of just how many years it had stood in downtown Dallas, and so many families felt a really deep connection to it. But renderings of the rebuilt sanctuary do show it's really going to reflect what that old one looked like.
Big crowds. This was the third national protest in less than a year. Organizers say what brought them out is the war in Iran and the immigration crackdown, along with other issues. But there were also counter-protesters in several North Texas cities, including in Southlake, Garland, and McKinney. In Dallas, things got a little tense after an altercation involving counter-protesters. It ended with one person detained, and it's still unclear at this point whether that was a protester or counter-protester. Meanwhile, President Trump defended his decisions with the war in Iran, saying it's all necessary to keep Iran from building a nuclear weapon. And as for his immigration policies, his administration says ICE agents are working to make the U.S. safer. In other news, CPAC, a large conservative political convention, wrapped up in Grapevine yesterday. It featured high-ranking Trump administration officials, several Republican lawmakers, and the most popular conservative influencers.
The Democrat Party today is a party of hatred of Donald Trump and open borders. Under Joe Biden, we saw an invasion of this nation. The worst illegal immigration in our nation's history, and the people in 2024 said enough. End it and end it now.
Address what our success has been today.
Yes, Health Secretary Robert Kennedy was the headliner for the event. He touted his department's efforts to regulate food and restrict social media use among children. We also got an idea of who Texans favor in the upcoming elections and the 2028 presidential race. In a straw poll for the Republican nomination, Vice President J.D. Vance was favored to win the Republican nomination with 53%. Secretary of State Marco Rubio came in second with 35%. In the runoff for U.S. Senate Republican primary, 67% of attendees said they prefer Attorney General Ken Paxton, and incumbent Senator John Cornyn only got 21%. And finally, State Senator Mays Middleton got 87% of the vote in favor of the runoff for Texas Attorney General. Congressman Chip Roy with just 7% there. Well, here's some context on those straw polls. They are informal, they're unofficial, and organizers only polled CPAC attendees. They tend to be the most committed Republicans, and this is only for pure interest. It does not represent everyone who will cast a ballot.
On Wednesday, April 1st, some major changes to SNAP take effect here in Texas. The big headline: recipients cannot buy sugary drinks or candy with SNAP benefits. Now, SNAP is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. It's what some people call food stamps. Texas lawmakers passed this to align with the Trump administration's Make America Healthy Again movement. movement. So let's talk about what people can and cannot buy with SNAP as of Wednesday. People can still buy groceries, of course, fruits, vegetables, meats, breads, milk. Low sugar drinks that have like a natural sweetener, stevia, monk fruit, that will still be allowed. So are some baking items and frozen treats that are mostly made with real fruit. But candy and drinks with more than 5 grams of added sugar will be banned.
Next up, a Kit Kat heist. Some local students hoping to make their mark in space, and TCU women's basketball just punched their ticket to the Elite Eight. Here's sports reporter Mike Leslie.
TCU's Olivia Miles and Marta Suarez putting up a ridiculous stat line in the Sweet 16. The two combine to score or assist on every single point that TCU scored against Virginia in a 79-69 win. Every free throw, every made basket scored or assisted on by those two players. Olivia Miles with 28 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists on the day. All 8 of her assists coming after halftime in this game. And Suarez went off for 33 points and 10 rebounds, hit 4 3-pointers in the game, had 3 assists of her own. The two of them combining for the entirety of the offense for TCU today, coming back for the win against Virginia and moving on to the Elite Eight for the second consecutive year. From this point forward, everybody that TCU will potentially play will be an elite basketball team. So it's going to get harder from here forward. But man, good luck stopping these two.
It's a Kit Kat caper. 12 tons, or 413,793 of Nestle's Kit Kat chocolate brand bars were stolen. It happened somewhere between Italy and Poland a few days ago, and Nestle says the vehicle and its load are still nowhere to be found. Now, the company says the bars were all meant for stores in Europe, and if they somehow end up being distributed using some unofficial sales channel, the company is gonna know because every batch has a specific code on the label. In a statement, Kit Kat said they, quote, appreciate the criminal's exceptional taste. But they say cargo theft is an escalating issue for businesses of all sizes. They call it an increasingly common criminal trend.
The engineering class at Ranch View High School is out of this world.
We get a lot of opportunities to do that.
At Carrollton Farmers Branch ISD,
they're very eager.
Mr. Berry's class is part of the Institute of Technology and Engineering, where students are solving real problems for NASA.
It was the hardest one that NASA had to offer.
Senior Adve Singhi and his team, the Mestonauts.
I've known most of them for my whole life.
They're designing rovers for the NASA Hunch program.
They want to test if there's mining applications on the moon and Mars.
Real deadlines, real budgets, real expectations.
It would also allow us to potentially see if it's suitable for life, figure out the exact contents.
Adve says it started with a prototype where they had to be resourceful.
And then we spray painted the wood. All of the parts for this original rover we pulled out of Mr. Berry's classroom. We owned them personally. We 3D printed them.
But they need 3 rovers for this project, and that investment isn't cheap. About $2,500 per rover for the best materials.
So kind of as like a joke, I was like, oh guys, let's write an email to Mark Cuban. Maybe he'll respond and read it.
The worst he could do is say no. But in less than 3 hours, Cuban said yes.
They ended up donating $5,000, which was exactly what we asked for.
At the end of April, the Mestonauts are one of 4 teams at Ranch View selected to go to NASA in Houston. They'll present their final design at the Johnson Space Center.
I get to brag. I get to tell people how awesome my students are every day.
One day, Adve hopes these rovers will make it to the moon.
It's going to be a great opportunity. We're really excited to present and potentially build this on a larger scale for NASA.
The next generation of space exploration is already taking off. In Irving, I'm Tiffany Liu.
That's all for Long Story Short, y'all. We'll be back with another episode on Wednesday.